Her laughter cut through me like broken glass. "Tonight, you sleep on the sofa," she said, tossing the words over her shoulder as though they meant nothing. The cruel part wasn't just the command, it was the way she laughed after, sharp and dismissive, like she was speaking to some unwanted guest, not her husband of 14 years. I stood in the doorway, staring at her silhouette against the lamplight, my pulse hammering in my throat. Something inside me snapped, brittle and final. "The house is mine," I said quietly, each syllable tasting of ash. "If someone's leaving, it's you. You can sleep on the street." Her laugh faltered, but only for a breath. She turned to face me, eyes narrowed, lips curled into a smirk. "Big words," she said, folding her arms. "But you don't mean it." Oh, but I did. I just hadn't realized it until the words left my mouth. The tension in the room was suffocating. The faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen sounded like a roar in the silence. I could hear the faint tick of the clock on the wall, each second stretching like wire pulled too tight. My chest ached, my hands trembling, though whether from rage or heartbreak I couldn't tell. For weeks, months even, I'd been blind. Or maybe I'd chosen to be blind. The late nights at work, the sudden new passwords on her phone, the way she flinched if I walked into a room too suddenly. I told myself she was tired, that the distance was stress, that marriages go through phases. But phases don't leave lipstick on collars. Phases don't leave the faint smell of cologne that isn't mine on her skin. I had noticed. I had smelled it. I had seen the shadows she thought she hid so well. But denial is a comfortable place to rot. That night, standing in my own living room, I finally stepped out of it. She scoffed, brushing past me toward the kitchen, as if ending the conversation by sheer willpower. "Stop being dramatic. You're imagining things." Imagining. The word burned my throat. My voice rose despite the lump threatening to choke me. "Was I imagining when I saw your phone light up at 2 in the morning with his name? Was I imagining when you came home with your blouse buttoned wrong, hair smelling like cheap hotel shampoo?" Her shoulders stiffened, but she didn't turn. She reached for a glass, filled it with water too slowly, too deliberately. "You're paranoid," she muttered. My chest tightened so hard I thought I'd collapse. Paranoid. A word meant to make me question my own sanity. To shift the weight of guilt from her shoulders to mine. And for a long time, it worked. But not anymore. "I'm not paranoid," I said, my voice low, trembling. "I'm your husband. And I know." The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. She finally turned, glass in hand, and for a flicker of a second I saw something. Fear, guilt, maybe even shame. But it hardened into defiance almost instantly. "So what if you do?" she said. "What are you going to do about it?" My stomach dropped. The casual cruelty in her voice, the sheer absence of remorse, it was worse than the betrayal itself. My mind spun with images. The dinners I cooked waiting for her, the weekends I planned to surprise her, the promises we whispered in the dark. All of them were ashes now, smothered beneath her indifference. "I built this house," I whispered, more to myself than to her. "Every brick, every coat of paint, every hour I worked overtime to pay for it. And you bring someone else into it." Her lip curled. "Maybe if you weren't so busy building houses, you'd have built a marriage worth keeping." The words hit harder than a punch. For a moment, the room blurred around me. But beneath the pain, something else stirred, clarity, sharp and cold. I set my jaw, met her gaze. "Pack a bag." She blinked. "What?" "You heard me. Pack a bag. You don't get to laugh in my face, cheat in my home, and still decide where I sleep. You don't get that power anymore." She laughed again, but it was thinner this time, brittle. "You can't just throw me out. I'll take half. More than half. You'll regret this." Her threats didn't land. Not anymore. I stepped closer, close enough to see the cracks behind her bravado. "The only thing I regret," I said, my voice steady now, "is not seeing you clearly sooner. You think betrayal is about who ends up with the bigger piece. No. It's about who can still look in the mirror when it's over. Can you?" For once, she had no answer. The fight drained out of me in that moment, replaced by a strange, hollow calm. I wasn't screaming, I wasn't begging, I wasn't even angry anymore. I was done. And that terrified her more than anything. She turned away, muttering under her breath, pacing like a cornered animal. I watched her shoulders rise and fall, watched the mask she wore slip just enough for me to see the truth. She hadn't expected me to stand my ground. She had thought my love, my loyalty, my denial would always shield her. She hadn't counted on losing me. The quiet stretched, thick and unbearable. Finally, she spoke, her voice cracking. So that's it. After everything, you're just throwing me away. I swallowed hard. You threw us away first. The words lingered in the air, heavy as a death sentence. She stared at me, eyes glistening, but I didn't move. The distance between us was wider than oceans, deeper than time. Nothing could bridge it now. Later that night, after she stormed out with a hastily packed bag, I sat alone in the living room. The sofa she'd condemned me to sat across from me, untouched. The house was silent, but not empty. It pulsed with memories, both beautiful and ruined. And yet, as I sat there, I realized something unexpected. I wasn't broken. I was free. Betrayal had scorched the foundation of my marriage, but it hadn't burned me down with it. The house still stood. I still stood. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I could breathe. But deep down, in the quiet corners of my chest, I knew the scars would remain. Not from losing her, but from realizing she'd been gone long before I ever told her to leave.